I was out hiking one Sunday afternoon when a storm started to descend. I quickened my pace, but suddenly from the corner of my eye, I caught a glint of light. I looked over to see a telescope. Intrigued, I made my way towards it. It was juddering, and as I got closer, it started to swing from side to side. Eventually, it came to a stop, right in front of me. I leant in and peered through the eye hole. I saw a strange sight of a white apple falling through the night sky. And then somehow, don't ask me how, I was sucked into the telescope. I fell through space, getting closer and closer to the apple, which by now loomed underneath me. I embraced for impact, but I fell through the black hole of the stem. And then there was just emptiness. Crashing into water shocked me back into reality. I felt myself sinking, but I heaved my body upwards to break to the surface. I saw a tree branch floating in the distance. I swam towards it, and then I passed out. When I awoke, I was washed up on the shores of a lake. I rubbed my eyes. There was a pixie close by. I sat up and watched her as she skipped, played, and danced around me. She was enticing. She was fascinated by the different coloured apples that she held, and she was eager to show them to me. And then, in a second, she was gone. All was quiet. I walked along the shore, wondering where on earth I was. Was I really inside an apple? The gentle chugging of a boat broke the silence. I waved frantically, but it didn't stop. I watched it slowly cross the lake and dock at a pier. I head towards it. But when I got there was no one around. There was just a road heading inland, so I joined it. I hadn't got far when the pixie appeared again. She danced and pranced around me, quite mischievously. I must admit, it did slightly nerve me. She would appear, and then disappear, and then appear again. I walked along the road, passing by all different types of landscapes. There were dazzling apples everywhere, of all different colours. They all radiated different energies, almost feelings or emotions. Trees particularly sparkled and shone. I tried to reach up, to grasp at them, but they always seemed to be just out of reach. I walked on into a desolate landscape, and then there was movement. A lady was walking towards me. As she got closer, she stopped. There was a tension in the air as we both stared. My eyes kept being drawn to her basket. I had never seen such a thing. She reached in, took out an apple, and offered it to me. I wanted to take it, but something told me I shouldn't. It had an energy that pulled as if a magnet, though. I wanted to take it, yes, how I wanted to take it. I was hungry for it, and I knew it would be delicious. I yearned for the emotions that just seemed to pour out of it. The urges actually made my body ache. Fantasies took over, imagining the pleasures that it could bring. But there was something that I didn't trust, and I didn't take it. I declined and wished her farewell. She persisted, following me as I turned my back, but I quickly went on my way. I did question if I should continue. I could just turn back. But there was a curiosity that needed to be satisfied, and I just continued to move forward along that road. The pixie still followed me. In a way, I was actually beginning to get used to her presence now. She pranced about with immense energy. I always felt that she was whispering in my ear, though, but I could never make out any words. My footsteps continued to tread the earth, their sound being the only audible sound for miles, except for my heartbeat, which was now starting to join in unison. But then the rhythm stopped. For up ahead, my eyes started to adjust to the presence of a figure standing within the landscape. She seemed familiar, as if I had met her before. And then the moment came when I recognized her. She was as a different form, but it was definitely her. She beckoned towards me. I approached her, and she showed me the most beautiful sight. Apples shimmered with colours as if they were alive. It was even more beautiful than I could ever have imagined. It was a beauty I didn't even know existed. It just seemed as if it was all I ever wanted. It was all anyone could ever want. Perhaps I could just reach out. I was so close. Would I ever desire this much again? Would I ever get this opportunity again? But something inside me pulled. There became a battle within, and eventually I found the strength to resist. I rejected it. I let go. The lady seemed surprised. She tried to entice me again, but I ran. I turned back in the direction that I had come from, and I ran as fast as I could. I passed everything I had on the way in, but it was strange, as things seemed ever so slightly different now. The pixie was still around, but this time she just stood, and her hands were empty. Finally, I arrived back at where my journey had begun. I was overwhelmed with exhaustion. Darkness descended, and as if hypnotized, I just walked straight into the water. The familiar tree branch appeared, which I desperately clung to. The water then churned me around, threw me up into the air, and I felt myself floating again through empty space. For a moment there was a flash when I thought I could see right into the inner depths of my mind, where I saw the lady. But I got further and further away, until suddenly I was back at the telescope. The storm was still approaching, so I dashed home. The rain was torrential, and by the time I reached my front door, I was soaked through to the skin. I hung up my coat, and as I did, I felt something in one of the pockets. How strange, I thought.